Ever wake up from a dream and wonder, what was that all about? Maybe it was a dream about missing a flight or being chased or reconnecting with someone from your past. So, what are your dreams trying to tell you? Welcome to Mind Matters with me, Dr. Nina Savelle-Rocklin. This podcast is about unlocking the secrets of your mind and elevating your life from the inside out. Join me and let's turn your subconscious into your superpower. Dream analysis is a core part of what I do as a psychoanalyst. And when people hear that I'm an analyst, they often imagine Freud listening silently to a patient who's lying on the couch. Well, comparing Freud to contemporary analysis, that is like comparing a Model T Ford to a Tesla. Yes, they are both cars, yet there are many, many, many differences. And as with automobiles, the art and science of psychoanalysis has evolved over the last 100 years. If you're wondering how psychoanalysis differs from other kinds of therapy, one of my patients said it best. He said, therapy is like snorkeling. You go a little bit under the surface, you see some cool things, but analysis, that is like deep sea diving to the bottom of the ocean where it is pitch black and you've got to shine a light in the darkness to see what's down there. Shining that light, that is what helps you discover those hidden reasons, those unconscious reasons that you feel stuck in your life. And that brings us to dream analysis. Nikola Tesla, the brilliant inventor, said his best ideas came to him in dreams. Dreams can give us ideas. They can express inner conflicts. They can even solve problems. And I am going to give you an example of problem solving from one of my own dreams. So I had created an online invitation to an event. And then I dreamed nobody came to my party. Not a single person. I'm just waiting and no one is showing up. So in the dream, I call my mom and I ask her, why aren't you there? And by the way, it's very weird that I would even invite my mother to a party, but that's a whole other story. In the dream, I'm like, what? Why aren't you here? And she said, well, you didn't put the time on the invitation. Well, sure enough, I checked and the time was missing from the invitation. I wasn't consciously aware that I had made that mistake, but another part of me had registered it and it showed up in my dream. Have you ever had a dream that seemed to solve a problem or inspire an idea like Tesla? That is your unconscious mind at work. Now for some fascinating dream examples. So first I want to tell you about a patient I call Beth. Not her real name. None of the names I use are the person's real name. Anyway, Beth, she had lost a lot of weight after weight loss surgery. And as soon as she hit her goal weight, she started having these weird nightmares about specific dates, like October 29th, 2001, January 3rd, 1933, December 19th, 1972. And she saw these numbers in her mind's eye as if they were on one of those old-fashioned newsreel screens, or maybe like the original Star Wars. And they were just coming at her. They were looming towards her, getting bigger and bigger and bigger. And as they did that, she felt this unbelievable, overwhelming panic. She felt like she was going to be crushed and overwhelmed by these giant numbers. Weird, right? That's what she thought. But then I realized what those dates were all about. Those dates then I realized what those dates were all about. Those dates didn't symbolize calendar dates. They symbolized romantic dates, because after reaching her goal weight, what had Beth done? She had signed up for a dating app. Consciously, Beth wanted to find her person, absolutely. Unconsciously, she was terrified of dating, and she imagined being overwhelmed by a relationship. Since that was actually what was modeled for her as a child. Her mother had totally sacrificed herself to care for Beth's dad, make him happy. Everything was about, oh, what can we do for your dad? And so Beth's nightmares about dates reflected her unconscious, hidden fear of dating. And it also demonstrates the concept of dream displacement, right? Displacement is when one thing represents another in dreams. So in this case, going on a date was displaced into these numerical dates. So remember, dreams often use symbols to represent our fears and our desires. In Beth's case, numerical dates symbolized her fear of romantic dates, but we create symbols in our dreams in so many ways. Here are some examples. Dreaming about a bear in the woods who's lumbering towards you might disguise a feeling about aspects of life being too much to bear. Driving a car and making right turn after right turn after right turn might show a wish to be right or correct, that you're on the right path on the road of life. And that brings me to this question. Maybe you're wondering the same thing. Do all dream symbols mean the same thing for everyone? And the short answer is no. And here's why. Every dream is unique to the dreamer. That's why dream books totally miss the mark. Like your past life experiences and your current situations, that is what influences the meaning of your dreams. So for someone who loves dogs, a dream about a dog might represent love, loyalty, friendship, just like that cozy amazingness. You could tell that I'm a dog lover. I have a 150-pound Great Dane named Zane, who is like the love of my life. Don't tell my husband. But for someone who was once bitten by a dog, that same dream symbol could represent fear or danger. And even there are some universal symbols, but even they can have like some personal twists, I guess you could say. Like water is a symbol of emotion usually, but the specific meaning depends on the dreamer's relationship with water. Like, are you a strong swimmer who feels at home in the ocean, or does deep water terrify you? So that could tell you a lot about what the dream is trying to tell you in that specific instance. That is why it is so important to really explore your thoughts, your feelings, and your memories associated with dream symbols instead of relying solely on generic interpretations, which is what you're going to find in a dream book. Your unique life story, that is the key to unlocking your dreams' meanings. That said, again, a few dream symbols are universal, like dreams about being naked in public. That is often about being ashamed or exposed. Authority figures like bosses or political figures, they often represent our parents. And objects like knives, umbrellas, sticks, swords, they're often considered symbols for, let's say, masculine energy. Totally phallic. Yes, the penis. That's what it means. I said it. I said the P word. Okay. So even though some images might have common meanings, again, each dream is specific to you. So really pay attention to what comes up for you over and over. Do you have any recurring dreams? And many of us do have recurring dreams or recurring dream symbols. Let me tell you about Miriam. She had recurring dreams about airplanes, and it was really interesting to see how her dreams changed over time. So as I share Miriam's dreams, think about recurring themes in your dreams and what they may represent in your life. Okay, so here's one of Miriam's early dreams. She said, she's in a house. It was really beautiful on the outside, but inside it was dark and dingy and difficult to see. And suddenly she felt like she was in an airplane with no windows. It was as if the house had suddenly turned into a plane and it was in a nosedive. So this house plane, it represented how Miriam saw herself and the world. She was beautiful on the outside, definitely, very beautiful, but she had trouble understanding her inner self, right? She needed to shine a light in the dark. She even wondered if therapy might uncover something bad about her, like as if at her core, it was really awful. There was something bad and disgusting about her. So the plane represented how hard it was for her to kind of take off in life, soar in her life. A few months later, she had another airplane dream. So she's on a plane with a guy she knew from the gym. And there was no separation between the passengers and the cockpit. There was only one pilot. There was no co-pilot. And the plane, it kept making these huge turns and it freaked her out, of course. But she tried to trust the pilot. She's like, no, the pilot knows what he's doing. He knows what he's doing. And then the pilot just gets up and he starts talking to the guy from the gym. And he told her, oh, the plane is on autopilot. Don't worry. And she started pleading with the pilot, please go back to your seat. Please, please fly the plane. But he wouldn't listen. And then the plane began to break apart. And the pilot ran for the controls, but she knew it was too late. So in this dream, Miriam shows her wish to trust the pilot, who, by the way, might have represented me, her analyst, her therapist, but also her fear that she couldn't trust anyone with her emotional safety. She couldn't trust anyone to take her where she wanted to go. And she would often say, like, hey, it feels like you're just like on some therapy script. Like you're just talking to me out of a script. Like I was on autopilot as a therapist. And this is what her dream was saying. But she stayed in therapy, I'm so glad to say. And her dreams about planes started to change again, like this one. She's with a bunch of people in a giant seaplane. And the seats were like twin beds, she said, or maybe a couch. Everyone was very, very, very nice. The plane crashed, but everyone was okay. So we talked about how she was trying to trust the work together, which was represented by these couch-like seats. She sat on my couch, and that she could take off. And even if things were rough, even if she crashed, she was going to be okay. And another dream, because I'm so into this. This is so interesting. I think it's interesting. I hope you do too. It's another dream that showed even more progress. She was on a plane that was way more spacious than a normal plane. The pilot was friendly. Everyone was nice. And as they started taxiing down the runway, she saw there was a hole at the top of the plane, but nobody else was worried. And she went to the pilot and she said, oh my God, there's a hole in the top of the plane. And the co-pilot said, oh, the plane's just falling apart. And she said, no, you need to fix it. You need to stop. You need to fix it. And this time they actually listened to her. They pulled over and they started pulling out baggage from overhead so they could get to the hole at the top of the plane and fix it. So in this dream, Miriam was taking charge and insisting that her problems be addressed. The holes in the plane, those were like the gaps in her life, her lack of safety, her lack of trust. But by dealing with all the emotional baggage, she could fix the issues. She could move forward in her life. So as you can see, Miriam's airplane dreams, they totally evolved over time, and they reflected her growing trust in therapy and her increasing ability to address her emotional issues, her problems. It symbolized her personal progress. And let's also talk about what makes dreams so weird. So think of dreams of having two layers. The first layer is what you remember when you wake up, like the story, the pictures in your head, how you felt in the dream. And that's like the surface story of the dream. But then there's a deeper level full of symbols and meanings that aren't obvious at first glance. It's like your dream has a secret message, and we need to play detective to figure out what it's really trying to tell you. And sometimes we consciously tell ourselves that we feel one way, but we secretly feel the opposite. Like Shelby, who always told me how much she loved our sessions, loved having me as a therapist, loved understanding herself on a deeper level. She loved everything about it. Love. Okay. And then she had two revealing dreams. In the first one, speaking of love, you'll love this. In the first one, she said, a blonde warrior tried to trick me. She showed me how to go back in time to deliver a message to someone, but really, she was going to send me back to be killed. Yes, I am blonde, so I was very likely the blonde warrior. And in a sense, I was trying to take her back in time, trying to heal the past, to change the way she felt in the present, because that's what we do as analysts. And once we understood that this dream was telling her that there was a lot of ambivalence about therapy, we could work through it. And a lot of people don't remember their dreams, right? They kind of remember them when they first wake up, and then it's like some kind of Men in Black neuralizer thing happens, and you totally forget. And in case you never saw Men in Black, in the movie, the agents use a device called a neuralizer to erase the memories of all these witnesses to extraterrestrial activity. And that's why we forget dreams. There's a part of us that wants to keep our truth secret from ourselves. We remember dreams only when we are ready to process them. So as you can see, dreams offer really, I think, profound insights into our unconscious minds. They reveal our hidden fears, our hidden wishes, and our conflicts. By interpreting dreams, which is so cool, we can better understand ourselves, and we can work through those issues that are affecting us in our waking lives. So I encourage you to use a journal or use a voice recorder. Just capture your dreams as soon as you wake up. And then you can start looking at patterns and reflect on the emotions of them, and start thinking about, well, what are your dreams trying to tell you? Because unlocking the messages in your dreams, that leads you to a better understanding of yourself, better self-awareness, and they can help you truly create the life that you want. Now, that is an awesome superpower, right? So I am also excited to give you a sneak peek into the next episode of the show, which is how your past hijacks your present and what to do about it. And I'll give you actionable strategies to break free from those old patterns and create a better life in the present. So thank you again for joining me. Be sure to follow me on all my social media channels. And until next time, remember, your mind matters.